Hi there, and welcome to the ATS podcast with me, Will Brown, and John Soulsby, where we break down chunks of health and fitness information into bite sized pieces, remove a bunch of the noise, and just leave what's relevant. Today we are on episode 6 of the podcast. Our topic for today is strength training for the elderly. But before that, as normal, we have a bit of an off topic, and today's off topic is our favorite feats of strength, online or in person.
Yeah, so I think my in-person one was very easy to think of is when I was in Texas with the GB junior powerlifting team watching big Ray Williams squat. It was like what was it that year? It was like 440 odd kilos, like over 1,000 pounds, like in person. It was mad.
I totally forgot about that being a thing in Killeen. I haven't seen Ray Williams
Yeah.
in ages.
Neither have I. I totally forgot about it until I saw the notes of just like in person. I was like, oh yeah, damn. It was just like, and watching like all the other super heavies go out who are obviously strong as all hell, all squatting like 400 plus, but looking like they're about to like just collapse under their third squat because obviously it's like 420 kilos or whatever, and then he just walks out with like 450 or whatever, and it doesn't look like it cares.
I was about to say I do remember all of Ray Williams' ridiculous squats just looking RPE very easy, like even
Yeah,
500.
like there's always people always question whether he gets depth and stuff, and I'm not there to ref, but like it they look so easy in comparison to the rest of the field. Like just like yeah, bad.
It's wild. I do remember when that thing came out where they put him in one of those like the horse MRIs or whatever it fucking was, and found out he had like the largest amount of fat-free mass ever recorded on a human or something.
Yeah, it's insane. I'm pretty sure Alice might somewhere have a photo of like her beside him. I
That'd be
can't remember.
funny. I would enjoy that.
Maybe not, or maybe George does. But yeah, oh, it was just that's definitely in person, just like mad.
That would just be funnier because Alice is like, what was she
Yeah,
competing at?
totally.
50, 57 or 63 or something.
Yeah, that comp she weighed in at 55.6.
Next to Ray Lewis, who's like 505. No, he's
Yeah.
he's a large man. The what would be mine in person? I think my in person is probably going to be when Luke Richardson squatted 360, 380, whatever it was at that
Yeah.
juniors, mainly
Yeah.
because I was spotting it and like
Yeah.
being that close to that amount of weight whilst someone is attempting to lift it
Yeah.
for the first time is wild.
Or yeah, I suppose, or us spotting Tony at
Yeah,
Tony
the
Cliff for
415.
people that don't. Yeah.
Yeah,
At
415 at home nets.
yeah, that was pretty wild. Or just oh, what's it? Is it Paul Swinton, the boy up in Aberdeen,
Yeah, yeah.
just mainly just ragdolling you around a bench shirt. That was also
That was quite funny. To be fair, that was a funny feat of strength. Getting
and just his in general strength wandering about.
yeah, it's quite crazy. Like I didn't really expect to get like back then I was like I don't know maybe 100 kilos plus or something.
Yeah.
I didn't really get ragdolled by many actual humans, but until I
No.
played like real contact sports. But Jesus, yeah, Paul Swinton just
Yeah.
like
Oh,
threw me about like a dishcloth.
again, same with Tony Cliff. I've never been thrown around like an absolute child, even, it's
He
like 15 years of rugby, and Tony Cliff on one night out just treated me like a 2-year-old. And I
just
was like,
picked
this
you up at
is,
the bar,
yeah.
just walked you out of the premises, if I recall.
I was just like, there is nothing I can do
Yeah,
here.
we're going because Tony said so. Oh, that was funny. Right. So our topic for today is strength training for the elderly. I mean, just before we started this, we were both like, "What do they mean elderly?" So I think it would actually be
Yeah.
quite interesting to define.
Yeah. I suppose we briefly touch on it on one before? I think we briefly touched on it one where we were talking about weight training. Anyway, we essentially is it I think scientifically it's 65 and over, isn't it? From
Potentially.
like a scientific study point of view.
Yeah, I can't remember if there's an official definition for when someone is elderly. I think
Yeah.
usually when I read research stuff, it's usually just people in ages of like, because you know how the fuck like everything is defined with a plus or minus and a mean or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like
Oh,
where
it's all ranges.
where the range of participants were 60 years old plus or minus 5 years or whatever the hell, like
Yeah.
that kind of shtick.
Oh, maybe it was a blog we did. Anyway, yeah, there's definitely something that was like, um, but yeah, it's definitely I feel around. Well, actually, almost funnily enough, retirement age at the moment. But yeah,
The
I think this is where powerlifting has a problem because your masters once you hit 40, and is weightlifting not even earlier? It's like 30.
Yeah, weightlifting starts in the 30s, I think, for masters.
Yes, and cycling's 30. So a lot of sports are like, "Yo, you're a masters now because you're 30," and you're like, "Oh, great." Doesn't mean you're elderly.
Yeah, I think in this specific context, strength training for the elderly might mean like a more aging population. So people who,
Yeah.
yeah, like my own personal definition of when people are kind of getting into the elderly thing would be like in 60s.
Yeah.
But with regards to strength training for the elderly, the main number one, it's a great benefit to do as long as it's managed well.
Mhm.
People's ability to recover is going to be impaired as they get older, purely just cause stuff don't work like it used to. Like your ability to perform stuff and recover from training is a little bit impaired. Hormonal changes. Um, ladies will have probably gone through the menopause at that point. Dudes will have hit that kind of natural testosterone dip, like at the
Yeah.
kind of edgier 40s. So they'll have been well in there. So people's ability to recover will be impaired, but if you manage training, it's certainly a benefit.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely the general principles are still kind of the same. Just your like parameters of how much training you can do are different. Like you
yeah,
still need to train within the volumes that you can handle every week. You still need to do sensible stuff. Just the fact that that's not as much as it used to be is kind of where
yeah.
you're different.
I would manage expectations greatly. Like
Yeah.
having with people who are in an elderly population, having them doing any kind of loaded resistance training is fantastic. Personally, the big ones that I usually go for reference, I coach a fair number of people in their 60s. Talking 10 plus over the years.
Yeah.
Having like maintaining, especially for people who've never really done resistance training before, like maintaining a strong sit to stand. Um, Not quite a squat, like it has to be because you start a squat at the top, so you get to maintain tension. I mean like a
Mhm.
cold kind of get out, like get off of low surface type
Yeah.
stand under load. Um, Single head stuff is really handy. Overhead stuff is really handy because that's where quite a lot of them can struggle for getting stuff off of shelves or like putting things up on shelves and stuff. So maintaining like loadability overhead and just generally staying active, like weight management and stuff gets a lot more relevant and important and has a lot more negative outcomes the longer you leave it not addressed.
Yeah. I think it's the idea that strength training has to be like, well, when you're younger, it's like all big barbell squats and deadlifts and all this stuff. But actually,
Hmm.
especially in that aging population, you're trying to fight like the onset of sarcopenia,
Hmm.
like muscle wasting, and that can just be as simple as like you moving around through some challenge of motion. That is a form of strength training. Um, so it's you don't have to be like smashing big weights all the time, especially if you're just starting out.
Not at all. I mean, funnily enough, one of the listed treatments for sarcopenia is resistance training.
Yeah, so it's good to start early.
It's very good. It'll be interesting as the research kind of develops. So, like one kind of thing that obviously is only anecdotal because it's just two dudes on a podcast, um, is that out of the kind of older people you know, so like if you, whoever you are listening to this, look at the people you know who are in their 60s or older, um, if there's any of them that are still really active and like up and about doing a whole bunch of stuff, they're also likely in decent physical nick too. It's looking more and more like the only reason that they are still physically up and active is the fact that they have like maintained being up and active. Like it
Yeah,
isn't it's less so genetic lottery type thing and more just they've always been active, and so if they are those kinds of people that essentially refuse to sit down and are just always doing stuff,
yeah,
they will just remain always doing stuff because it's more like as long as you don't get into any kind of long periods of detraining, which I think is where some of the issues may occur in that like if somebody obviously like geriatric falls and stuff are quite a big thing
yeah,
for putting people out of action. They're like one of the main causes of stuff like hip replacements and people ending up what's the word, as dependent, like needing care because they can't move about or get out of chairs
yeah.
and stuff because they're trying to like
Um,
deal with a big hip, like a broken leg essentially.
yeah, something Alice actually talks about a bit. So that's for people that don't know. My wife Alice is a doctor. She spent a decent amount of time in geriatrics, but a lot of the things she saw is like when people fall and then become inactive, like their overall health just like crashes.
Hmm.
So you end up seeing them more and more, and it's mainly down to not moving enough,
Yeah,
which is
I
like
wouldn't be
super interesting.
surprised if that does come because it seems like such an easy preventative of
Yeah,
if there was or maybe like again obviously like it's a big complicated issue, but like sorting the return to Independence Day 2 type not well maybe not with Will Smith anymore. He's too busy slapping folk. But getting getting folk back and moving around ASAP as part of the kind of
yeah,
recovery, and even just convincing people because it's like it is quite hard when you have an injury that you will have to deal with the pain, and it seems like a lot better way at the time to just do whatever isn't painful, but
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you do in some form have to kind of push the discomfort to then like regain the function.
Yeah.
But so yeah, strength training for the elderly overall, great shout, 100%. Also, lots of emergence of benefits of creatine monohydrate on brain function and potential for staving off kind of brain related conditions associated with older age. So get your granny lifting weights and on creatine all at the same time.
Yeah, getting yoked.
You're getting yoked. The that stuff will be wild if that comes out as like really beneficial because creatine
Yeah,
costs nothing.
or it costs nothing now.
Oh, they I saw some people there was some shenanigans going on about people like massively spiking the price of creatine in some places.
Yeah, well, I mean, I imagine if it comes out as something actually very, very, very beneficial to that sort of area, the price will probably go up
Yeah,
because
it'll be keen to see. Is there anything else around training the elderly? Literally anything is good, like walking, gardening,
yeah,
like out and about, doing stuff. All of it's great.
yeah,
Specifically doing
gardening's
some,
low key great.
yeah, doing some resistance training, moving some stuff about, sit to stand, single leg, loaded carries. Maybe worth chucking in that if people are worried about balance issues, like obviously there are specific neurological complications that can affect balance. The other stuff like I don't know labyrinthitis and like various other conditions. But if assuming no complications, strength training is also great for balance. Like
Yep,
your ability to distribute force greatly helps your ability to balance on a point.
yep.
And yeah, I think that's us for episode 7. Pretty sure we covered all the other aspects I can think of. Anything else we haven't touched on, you think?
Not in that aspect, no. No.
Awesome. Well, we will see you guys for the next one. Cheers.